Hey everybody, Chief Meteorologist Brad Penovich here. Well, the big talk of the town wasn't the weather today. It was daylight saving time. A bill, or a measure I should say, was unanimously passed in the U.S. Senate today to make daylight saving time permanent. So what does that mean? Well, let's talk a little bit about what this actually means for the Charlotte area. Now, this is a really cool chart. This is found on timeanddate.com. It's a really cool site. It shows you the sun graph for Charlotte. So basically what you're looking at, the area that you see shaded in kind of that blue, light blue, is the hours of daylight. And you could see the time change when daylight saving time goes into effect, which happened over the weekend. You see how there's a shift there, and then in the fall, we go to standard time. But I should note here that we spend 65% of the year, or 238 days, in daylight saving time. We only spend 35% of the year in standard time, or about 127. I had to look at my math over here. So we really do spend almost 2/3 of the year on daylight saving time. It's really 9 out of the 12 months that we kind of do it. So if we were to change it, what would this mean? Well, let me show you what this would mean for Charlotte. Basically, what this would mean is that our earliest, or I should say our latest sunrise would be around 8:28 in December and about 8:32 a.m. in January. Now, mind you, we do have twilight about 30 minutes before sunrise, so there would be some light, but it wouldn't be fully light until about 8:30 for about, I would say, about 3 weeks. And the day length does not change. I think that's one thing that people kind of get confused. The hours of daylight is never going to change. We're just shifting when we see the daylight either in the morning or in the evenings. But here's the bonus. In the winter, the sun would now set at around 6:14 or so on the shortest day of the year. Right now, that's closer to around 5:10. So we would get that extra hour in the evening. Now, no matter how you slice it, I get a lot of people saying, okay, it's dark in the morning. I don't want kids at the bus stop. Regardless of what time we're on, it is always going to be dark till about 7:30 a.m. in the middle of the winter, even on standard time. So for the early risers, the kids that go to school between 6 and 7:30, it's always going to be dark no matter what. So there's really no way to avoid that. The only benefit is that we're going to get that daylight in the evening for recreational activities. Now, one thing that helps us out is that probably the shortest days or the worst sunrises actually happen in late December, early January. There's a 2-week winter break for Christmas and New Year. So 2 weeks of the worst of it, kids aren't even in school anyway. So that's kind of the benefit. But there's some really cool charts if you want to see how this impacts your life. I found this chart today, and the data is from 2013. The sunrise and sunsets haven't really changed much. And you can change this to Charlotte, North Carolina, so that's what I'm going to do. We'll go down here and change it to Charlotte. And I'm going to put in that we get up, let's say you get up at 6 a.m., which I think is, let's say 6:30 a.m. I mean, you go to bed at 11. That's reasonable, right? I think most people in Charlotte, it's a banking town, probably 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. is normal, maybe 8 to 4. This shows you how many hours of your day would be spent in darkness in your free time. So if you scroll down here, it actually shows you with daylight saving time on the left, it actually shows that you gain about 0.64 hours on average per day through the whole year of hours of daylight. And about 0.64 of that is when you're not at work. Now, I'll move this up, and you can see down here, I'm going to actually move the whole thing down here. You could see that we actually get about 88 days when it's light when you wake up with daylight saving. You would have about 212 without. So that's a plus 124 days. Days that it's light when you get home from work, with either time, you get about 238 days. The problem is you don't get many hours with daylight saving time gone in the winter. And again, if you want to check this out, I put full links in our story to talk about this. And the one thing I will tell you that there's a lot of science out there talking about how the change in time itself is a problem. It's not always necessarily which one we're on. It's the fact that we go back and forth that causes so many health issues, causes accidents. That has more to do with just changing the clock period than it does with whether it's daylight saving or standard time. So I think a lot of people would love to just stay on one time permanently, but it really comes down to personal preference, your schedule, and where you live. Because let's face it, the further north you live in latitude and the further west in the time zone you live, some of these sunrises in the winter could be around 9 to 9:30 a.m. That's brutal. The only good news is doesn't last very long. And even with standard time, it's still going to be rising around 8:30 in the morning. So it's already dark in the morning regardless. It's just more dark going into the future. Love to hear from you what you think. I don't know if this bill is going to make it through Congress and then go all the way to the president's desk, but it certainly made a lot of controversy and everybody had an opinion.